My gut feelings are usually spot on, and for the last few weeks, my gut had been screaming that something was wrong with Claire. She was coming home later and later, always blaming extra rehearsals at the dance studio. Her phone was glued to her hand. She'd even taken it into the shower. She smiled more but rarely at me. "You've been busy lately," I said to her. It was a Friday night, a rare evening when she was actually home. "Yeah, we've got a big showcase next month." "The schedule's brutal," she said, curled up on the far end of the sofa, her eyes fixed on her phone screen. I thought about the strange comment I'd gotten at work that day. Sarah, the receptionist, had pulled me aside, hesitant. "Mr. Miller, I don't want to overstep, but I saw Claire having lunch with Alex Chun yesterday. They looked pretty cozy." Alex Chun, my college roommate, now the director of marketing at my firm. On the surface, he was my best friend, but underneath there had always been a subtle current of competition. "They're just friends," I'd replied calmly, though a wave of unease washed over me. Probably talking about a promotional partnership for the studio. Claire's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and immediately shot up from the sofa. "Something's come up at the studio. I have to go. It's 9 o'clock. "What kind of emergency?" "The instructor for the morning class had a family thing come up. I have to cover, so I need to go look over her lesson plan." She was already slipping on her shoes and grabbing her purse. "Let me give you a ride. It's late." "No, it's fine. I called an Uber. It'll be here any second." She leaned in, giving me a quick, dry kiss on the cheek. "Don't wait up. This could take a while." After the door clicked shut, I stood by the window and watched her get into a black sedan that was definitely not an Uber. After it pulled away, I dialed Alex's number. "Hey, Luke. What's up, man?" His voice was a little too cheerful, a little too forced. "Burning the midnight oil?" I had a few thoughts on that Monday proposal. Tonight's not great, man. I'm in the middle of some personal stuff. Can we circle back?" I could hear the clatter and hum of a busy restaurant in the background. "Sure. No rush," I said and hung up. I sat on the sofa in the silent apartment for a long, long time. The next day was Saturday. Claire left early. While cleaning out the office, I stumbled upon her old backup phone, forgotten in a desk drawer. The screen lit up with an unread message. "Had a great time last night. We should try that other place next time." The sender, Alex. My fingers trembled as I opened the message thread. A long history of flirtatious texts and a handful of intimate photos loaded onto the screen. I recognized the background in some of them. The hotel where we'd stayed for our wedding anniversary last year. How could this happen? I slumped into the chair, a hollow punch in my chest. So this was her mysterious overtime. All of it a lie. And I've been planning a surprise for our 3rd anniversary. In one text, Alex had written, "Your husband is so buried in work he doesn't have time for you. With me, you get the life you deserve." Claire's reply, "He's just so boring. It's all work, work, work. When I'm with you, I feel alive." But the next exchange was what truly broke me. "Alex, are you really going to leave him?" "Claire, when the time is right. His career is just taking off. Bailing now would look bad for me." A bitter laugh escaped my lips. So that's all I was. Her meal ticket and a stepping stone. I photographed every message, every picture, then placed the phone back where I found it. My mind went cold and clear. I knew exactly what I had to do next. When Claire came home that evening, I acted like nothing was wrong. "Hey, honey, you were home all day?" she asked, dropping her bag with a breezy tone. "Yeah, just catching up on some paperwork." I handed her a glass of water. "I'm playing basketball with Alex tomorrow. You have plans?" Her eyes flickered for a fraction of a second. I'll probably be at the studio." "More rehearsals? You're really putting in the hours." "Yeah, new choreography," she said, turning toward the bedroom without meeting my eyes. I stood in the living room, staring at our wedding photo on the wall. The smiles, the vows, it all felt like a sick joke. The next day, I did meet Alex at the court. Seeing his perfectly normal, unconcerned expression made me want to laugh. "Dude, you look stressed. Work getting to you?" he said, clapping me on the shoulder with fake sincerity. "Maybe. Haven't been sleeping well." I threw the ball hard against the backboard, and it ricocheted squarely into his chest. "Whoa, easy there," he complained with a laugh. "Sorry, man. Lost control of it," I said with a tight smile. "So, I heard you're seeing a dance instructor?" "Who told you that? We just know each other." "Hey, no judgment. Good for you. Dancers are always in great shape," I said deliberately. "You should introduce me sometime." "Yeah, maybe sometime," he said, clearly uncomfortable. For the rest of the game, I made a point of passing him the ball every chance I got, only to subtly bump him or get in his way just as he took a shot. He didn't make a single basket. "What is your problem today?" he finally asked, annoyed. "I guess I just don't feel like winning," I said, letting the words hang in the air. On Monday, I came home early with a bouquet of flowers. It wasn't a romantic gesture. It was a prop, designed to add a layer of irony to the coming storm. Sitting in the living room, I noticed something was off. The bedsheets in our bedroom had been changed, and the air held a faint, unfamiliar scent of cologne. Not my brand. I walked calmly into the bedroom and opened the nightstand drawer. Just as I suspected, the spare box of condoms I kept in the back was missing too. Unbelievable. They couldn't even be bothered to stay out of my own bed. Claire got home at 8, her eyes widening in panic when she saw me on the couch. You're home so early. Wanted to surprise you, I said, gesturing to the already wilting flowers on the coffee table. Oh, she forced a smile. That's so sweet. Have you eaten? We could go grab a bite. I already ate. The studio had a team dinner. She avoided my gaze and hurried toward the bathroom. I'm just gonna hop in the shower. Right before she closed the door, I noticed a faint, reddish mark on the side of her neck. A hickey. I said nothing. I just pulled out my phone and confirmed the reservation I'd made for our anniversary dinner in 3 days. When she came out of the shower, Claire was visibly more relaxed. So how's work been, honey? It's fine, I said, flipping through channels. How about you? Is the new showcase coming together? It's going great, she said, hesitating for a moment. Actually, I was thinking, for our 3-year anniversary, maybe we should take a trip. I glanced at her. A trip? Where'd that come from? I just feel like we haven't had a real break in forever. She moved closer, her hand resting lightly on my shoulder. You're always so busy. We need more time for just us. I managed a small smile. I already booked a table for dinner. We can talk about a trip then. She nodded, a flicker of disappointment in her eyes. That night, she fell into a deep sleep beside me. I sat on the edge of the bed for a long time, watching her, unable to tell if what I felt was love or hate. 3 years of marriage had turned into a farce. The next day, I called my assistant, Megan Davis. Megan, can you look into some short-term apartment rentals near the office? Mr. Miller, is everything all right? She asked, her voice filled with professional concern. Everything's fine, just planning some home renovations. Of course. I'll have a list for you this afternoon. She didn't press, reliable as always. Later, Alex strolled into my office. Luke, got a minute? Wanted to run this client proposal by you for Friday. I took the file and gave it a cursory glance. Looks good, but a few sections need work. Yeah? Why don't you walk me through it, he said, sitting across from me, the picture of a diligent subordinate. You'll figure it out. I trust your judgment, I said, pushing the file back toward him. By the way, I heard you've got a new girlfriend. His face tensed. Where are you hearing this stuff? It's just office gossip. What's the matter? Afraid to go public? I asked with a smirk. No, it's not, he stammered. It's just not that serious yet. Don't want to make a big deal out of it. I get it. I stood up and patted him on the shoulder. Good luck with that. After he left, I opened my laptop and checked her joint bank account. Claire's spending had spiked recently. Charges from nice restaurants, hotels, and high-end boutiques. I let out a cold laugh and began the process of moving my personal assets to a separate account. That night, Claire texted to say she was working late and that I shouldn't wait up. I replied with a simple okay, then got in my car and drove to her dance studio. The lights were off. The owner of the shop next door told me, no classes tonight. Place has been empty all day. I nodded, then drove to the restaurant Alex frequented. Sure enough, through the partially open door of a private room in the back, I saw them. Claire and Alex, raising their glasses to each other, laughing, completely absorbed in their own world. I didn't storm in. I just took a few pictures with my phone and quietly left. Back home, I compiled all the evidence, the texts, the photos, the bank statements, and put it in my safe deposit box. Then I started preparing my real anniversary gift, the divorce papers. The day before our anniversary, Claire came home unusually early, a gift bag in her hand. I bought you a new shirt to wear tomorrow, she said, beaming. I took the day off so we can have the whole day to ourselves. I took the bag. Thanks. I have a gift for you, too. You'll get it tomorrow. She wrapped her arms around me. Honey, I know I've been distant lately. The rehearsals have been so intense. I promise, after the showcase next month, I'll make it all up to you. I put my arms around her waist. It's okay. I understand. Her phone rang. She pulled away instantly, walking out to the balcony to answer it, her voice a low murmur. I didn't have to guess who it was. That night, Claire was especially affectionate, as if trying to physically erase her transgressions. I played along, my heart a block of ice. The next morning, we sat across from each other, eating the elaborate breakfast she'd prepared. So, what do you want to do today? She asked. I made a reservation at La Toile for tonight. I hear that new French place is amazing. Sound great, I said, sipping my coffee. But before we go anywhere, we need to talk. She froze. Talk about what? I slowly set my coffee cup down. About you and Alex. The air in the room turned solid. Her expression shifted from surprise to panic, then settled into a forced, brittle smile. What are you talking about? He's just a colleague. Really? I pulled out my phone, opened the gallery, and slid it across the table to her. Is this what just colleagues looks like? The color drained from her face. Her hand shook as she looked at the photos. You were following me? I didn't have to. The truth has a way of finding you. My voice was calm, detached. How long has this been going on? 6 months? A year? She was silent for a moment, and then tears started to stream down her cheeks. I'm sorry. I don't know how it happened. Why? You're always so busy, always at work. You never have time for me. Alex, so it's my fault? I laughed a harsh, ugly sound. Because I work hard to provide for us. That gives you a free pass to cheat on me? That's not what I meant, she cried. It's just, we lost that spark. He made me feel seen. You're saying I didn't love you enough? No, she sobbed, wiping her eyes. I just messed up. I shook my head and pulled a folder from my briefcase. Divorce agreement. I've already had it drawn up. I'm not looking to fight over assets. We can just split everything according to the law. Take a look. If you have any objections, we can discuss them. Claire stared at the papers as if she'd been struck by lightning. Divorce? No, you can't. I know I was wrong. I can change. Please, just give me one more chance. A chance? Did you give our marriage a chance when you were sleeping with him in our bed? Her face went ghostly white. You knew. I know more than you think. I stood up. I've already found a place. I won't be coming back tonight. You should figure out what you're going to do. Luke, she shrieked, her voice cracking. You can't do this. Today is our anniversary. It's precisely because it's our anniversary that I'm choosing to end this sham. Suddenly, her tears stopped. Her eyes narrowed. You think you'll be better off without me? That big project at work? I'm the one who introduced you to that client. One word from me, and they'll pull their funding. I almost smiled. Are you threatening me? Go ahead. Try it. Don't push me. Her voice trembled with rage. If you insist on this divorce, I'll tell everyone how you drove me to it. Do whatever you want. I grabbed my jacket. The papers are on the table. Call me when you've made a decision. As I walked to the door, she scrambled over and grabbed my legs, sobbing. Don't go. Please. I love you. I've always loved you. For a fleeting second, her tear-streaked face made me hesitate. But then the images flashed through my mind. The photos, the texts, the lies, the betrayal. My resolve hardened. It's too late, Claire, I said, gently prying her hands off me. You only learn to appreciate something when it's gone. But some things, once they're gone, you can never get back. Leaving our home was painful, but staying would have been torture. I moved into a studio apartment near the office, taking only the essentials. Thankfully, I'd prepared in advance, so my life didn't descend into complete chaos. Over the next few days, Claire bombarded me with calls and texts. They ran the gamut from desperate pleas to veiled threats, from whimpering apologies to furious tirades. I ignored most of them, responding only with brief, necessary replies. Alex seemed to have gotten the message that the jig was up. He started avoiding me at the office, though I could feel his eyes on me whenever I walked by. A week later, Claire cornered me in the lobby of my office building. Look, can we please just talk? She looked awful, her face pale and her eyes puffy and red. There's nothing to talk about. Please, she begged, her voice cracking. For the 3 years we had. Her tears started flowing again. I stopped. 3 years? Funny how you didn't think about those 3 years when you were betraying them. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. She grabbed my arm. I've already cut things off with Alex. I don't even answer his calls anymore. Please, just forgive me this one time. I looked at her. If the roles were reversed, could you forgive me? She froze, unable to answer. See, you can't even say it, I said, pulling my arm away. Have you signed the papers? I'm not signing them. I know you still love me. You're just angry right now. I shook my head. You only ever think about how you feel. Claire, I don't hate you, but I will never trust you again. And a marriage without trust is just a slow, painful death. Let's end it with some dignity. I won't agree to a divorce, she screamed, drawing stares for people passing by. If you force me to, I'll kill myself. I took a deep breath. Don't threaten to do something that extreme, to save something that's already over. Live your life. It's what's best for both of us. With that, I walked around her and into the building. Back in my office, Megan brought me a coffee. Mr. Miller, are you okay? You saw. She nodded. I was on my way down to grab a file. I'm fine. Thanks for asking. I took the coffee. How's the project coming along? Everything's on track. The client loved the proposal. I felt a small sense of relief. At least work was stable. That afternoon, Alex knocked on my door, a complicated expression on his face. Luke, what is it? I asked, my voice flat. I came to apologize, he said, looking at the floor. I know what I did was unforgivable, but I really... Save it. I cut him off. You're not here to apologize. You're here to see how much damage you've caused. No, I swear. Out. I pointed to the door. If it weren't for the fact that we've known each other for years, you'd be fired already. Now get out of my office. His face cycled through shades of red and white before he turned and left without another word. When I got back to my apartment that night, there was a paper bag by my door. Inside were our wedding photos and a few other things I'd left behind. Underneath the photos was a note. I'll wait for you to come back, no matter how long it takes. Love, Claire. I sighed, shoved the bag into a closet, and poured myself a whiskey, staring out the window. My phone rang. A number I didn't recognize. Hello. Is this Luke? This is Claire's mother. The voice was that of a concerned, middle-aged woman. Honey, I know what happened between you two, but Claire really knows she was wrong. Can't you just find it in your heart to forgive her this once? Ma'am, with all due respect, some mistakes can't be fixed with an apology. She was just confused for a moment, but her heart has always been with you. You two have been together for so long. I'm sorry, but my mind is made up. Shortly after I hung up, another call came in. This time, it was Claire's best friend. Luke, how can you be so cruel? Claire is falling apart. She almost took a bottle of pills the other day. We found her just in time. A cold knot formed in my stomach. How is she now? She's okay for now, but she's a wreck. She can't eat, can't sleep. Can't you see how sorry she is and just give her another chance? I was silent for a moment. Thank you for telling me, but my decision hasn't changed. Please, take good care of her. The calls and texts continued for days. A rotating cast of her relatives and our mutual friends, all trying to persuade me to go back. I started to wonder if I needed to move to another city to make a truly clean break from it all. A month later, I took an extended leave of absence. I needed to get away, to escape the drama, and clear my head. Before I left, Megan brought me a folder of project files. Mr. Miller, you can review these while you're gone. Just let me know if you need anything. Thanks, Megan. I appreciate you holding down the fort. I took the folder. She hesitated. Sir, can I ask you a personal question? Go ahead. Have you really decided not to forgive her? I met her gaze. Some things, once broken, can't be put back together. Trust is one of them. She nodded. I understand. I hope you have a good trip. I chose a quiet little town on the coast of Lake Michigan, far from the noise of the city. I spent my days walking along the shore, watching the water, and thinking. On the third day, my phone rang. It was Claire. After a moment's hesitation, I answered. Luke. Her voice was small. Where are you? Just getting away for a bit. When are you coming back? I'm not sure. I miss you. I said nothing. Luke, please, just give me one last chance, she pleaded. If you really can't forgive me, then I'll sign the papers. Are you sure about that? Yes, she whispered, her voice thick with tears. I've done a lot of thinking. If you're not coming back, I'll respect your decision. After hanging up, I stood on the beach, watching the waves roll in, and felt a profound sense of release. Back at my rental, the phone rang again. This time it was Alex. Luke, heard you took some time off. What do you want? I wanted to say goodbye. I'm quitting. Moving out of state for a new job. Good riddance. I know you hate me, but I still want to say I'm sorry. He paused. Claire, she really does love you. I was the one who kept pursuing her. Cut the crap, Alex, I said with a cold laugh. You're both in the same boat. Don't try to play the martyr now. I don't think I don't know what you were doing. Getting close to me, working at the same company, then blowing up my marriage. Your goal was never just Claire. You wanted to see me fail. You wanted to watch me suffer. He was silent for a long time. Believe what you want, but I'm genuinely sorry it ended this way for you too. Save it. I hung up, my mind clearer than it had been in months. A week later, I returned to the city. I had just walked into my apartment when the doorbell rang. It was Claire. In her hand was the signed divorce agreement. I signed it, she said, her eyes red and swollen. She held it out to me. And here are the keys. I took the documents and glanced over them. Everything was in order. Thank you, I said. I'll have my lawyer handle the rest. She stood in the doorway, hesitating. Can I come in for a minute? Just one last time. Seeing how worn out she looked, I stepped aside and let her in. She looked around the small apartment, and fresh tears welled in her eyes. This place is cleaner than I expected. It's manageable. Look, I know I was wrong. I really do, she said, sinking onto the sofa, sobbing. This past month, I finally understood what it feels like to lose you. I could barely breathe. Claire, I said calmly, everyone has to live with the consequences of their choices. You chose to betray our marriage, and I chose to leave. That's all there is to it. But there are no buts. I handed her a tissue. Let the past be the past. I hope you find someone better in the future. She wiped her eyes. Do you really not love me at all anymore? I looked out the window, a montage of our best moments flashing through my mind. now tainted by bitterness. I did love you. Very much. But some things, once they're lost, you can never get back. She hung her head and sat in silence for a long time before finally getting to her feet. I understand. Well, I wish you happiness. You too. As I walked her to the door, she turned and gave me a quick, gentle hug. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Then she walked away quickly, without looking back. I closed the door and let out a long breath, feeling a massive weight lift from my shoulders. That evening, Megan texted to ask if I was back and mentioned some documents at the office that needed my signature. I told her I'd be in tomorrow and asked if she was free for dinner, as a thank you for all her help. She replied almost instantly, "Of course. My treat." I put down my phone and looked out at the city lights. Life was full of uncertainty, but in that moment, I felt like I had found myself again. I could see the road ahead. You only appreciate something when it's gone, but some things aren't worth getting back. The day the divorce was finalized, I took the afternoon off and drove out to a scenic overlook in the hills outside the city. Sitting on a bench, looking down at the sprawling metropolis, I felt surprisingly calm. 3 years of marriage had ended, not with a bang, but with the quiet stroke of a pen. My phone rang. It was Megan. "Mr. Miller, the client is thrilled with the proposal. They're ready to sign." "Great. Good work. Are you doing okay?" she asked, her voice soft. "I'm good. Relieved, actually." I smiled to myself. Why the sudden concern? I just heard that everything was finalized today. Of course she knew. The office gossip mill was probably working overtime. "Yep, all settled. Thanks for asking." After hanging up, I took a deep breath and stood up. It was time to get back to it. Life goes on. Back at the office, I could feel the curious glances from my colleagues, but I ignored them. In the conference room, I led the project meeting as if it were any other day. Afterward, Sarah from marketing caught up to me in the hall. "Mr. Miller, I have some good news for you," she said in a low voice. "What's that?" "Alex Chen really did quit. Today's his last day. He's packing up his office right now." She leaned in closer. "I heard he's moving somewhere down south." I nodded. "I see." As I passed Alex's office, the door was open. He was putting things into a cardboard box. He looked up and our eyes met. He gave an awkward nod. "Luke, Mr. Miller, heard you're leaving," I said, my tone neutral. "Yeah, got a new offer." He hesitated. I wanted to say I'm sorry one more time, in person. "Don't bother. You go your way, I'll go mine. We don't owe each other anything." "Luke, I know you hate me, but—" "I don't hate you," I interrupted. "Hate requires an emotional investment. You're not worth it." His face flushed, but he didn't say anything else, just went back to packing his box. I turned and walked away, feeling nothing at all. That night, the company held a celebratory dinner for a few successful project launches. As the team lead, I had to be there. At the table, one of the senior managers raised his glass. A toast to Luke, not only a star at work, but a man of integrity in his personal life, too. I knew what he was referring to. I just smiled and raised my glass. "Thanks, but tonight is about celebrating our team's success. Let's keep it professional." "Either way, you're an inspiration, man," someone else shouted. "A man's got to have a backbone." After a few rounds of drinks, everyone was starting to get loud. I decided it was time to leave. As I stood up, Megan stood up too. "Mr. Miller, you've had a little to drink. Let me give you a ride home." I was about to refuse, but I was feeling a bit buzzed. I nodded. "Okay, thanks." In the car, Megan drove carefully, glancing over at me every so often. "Don't mind them, sir. Everyone at the office is on your side." "I know." I lean my head back and close my eyes. "But there's no need to take sides. Everyone has their own reasons for what they do." "But some things are a matter of principle," she said, her voice firm. "Betrayal is betrayal. There's no excuse for it." I opened my eyes and looked at her, a small smile forming. "You've got a strong point of view." A faint blush appeared on her cheeks. I think what you did was brave. A lot of people would have just put up with it, but you didn't." "It wasn't about being brave. It was about not wanting to live a lie. A relationship without trust is just slow-motion misery." As we pulled up to my apartment, I got a text. It was from Claire. "I'm leaving tomorrow, moving out of state. Thank you for everything over the years. I'm sorry. Be happy." I didn't reply, just put the phone back in my pocket. Megan stopped the car. "We're here, Mr. Miller. Thanks. Drive safe on your way home." I opened the door, then paused. "All right. We have that project kickoff tomorrow. Can you prep the materials?" "Of course," she nodded. "Good night, sir." "Good night." Inside my apartment, I didn't turn on the lights. I sat in the dark, thinking about Claire's text. She was leaving. Good. A fresh start for both of us. Outside, the city lights burned as brightly as ever. I had a feeling that everything was finally over, and a new life was just beginning. The next morning, I walked into the office feeling refreshed. The young woman at the front desk looked at me in surprise. Mr. Miller, you look great today. So energized. Really? Must have gotten a good night's sleep, I said with a smile as I walked to the elevator. Megan was already inside, holding a stack of files. She smiled when she saw me. Good morning, Mr. Miller. Morning, I nodded. Get home okay last night? Yes, perfectly fine. She handed me a folder. Here are the materials for today's meeting. All sorted. I flipped through it. It was perfect. Nice work, thank you. My pleasure. She looked down, a small smile on her face. As the elevator doors opened on our floor, I said, by the way, there's a new exhibit at the Art Institute this weekend. I hear it's supposed to be really interesting. Would you want to go check it out? She froze for a second, her eyes widening slightly. Me? You mean? With you. Of course. Think of it as a bonus for all your hard work lately, I said casually. If you're free, that is. I'm free, she said, a little too quickly, then composed herself. I mean, yes. I'd love that. Great. It's a date. Let's meet at the entrance, Saturday at 10. Okay, she nodded, her eyes shining. Walking into my office, I felt a lightness I hadn't experienced in years. You have to keep moving forward. Let the past go. Outside my window, the sun was bright. It was a new day. The exhibit on Saturday was even better than I'd expected. It was a special showing that blended modern art with traditional cultural pieces. Megan, it turned out, had a keen eye and offered insightful commentary on the artist's intentions. I didn't know you were so into art, I said, genuinely impressed as she explained the symbolism in a complex sculpture. She smiled. I actually majored in art history in college. It's just been a while since I've had time for it. That explains why your presentation designs are always so creative. A light blush colored her cheeks. Thank you. We had lunch at a small bistro near the museum. As we talked, I discovered that Megan wasn't just smart and capable. She was thoughtful and independent, a world away from Claire. Claire had needed to be the center of attention, to be adored. Megan was someone you could walk beside, an equal partner. After lunch, we took a walk through a nearby park. The early autumn sun was warm, but not hot, and the leaves were just beginning to turn shades of gold and red. Luke, can I ask you something personal? Megan said suddenly. Shoot. Do you ever regret it? Your decision about the divorce, I mean. I looked at her and shook my head. No. Some things, once they happen, you can't go back. It's better to make a clean break than to try and live with a lie. She nodded. Understand. I think you did the right thing. You think so? I smiled. Most people seem to think I was too harsh, leaving after she cheated just once. Once is enough, she said firmly. Once the trust is gone, it's almost impossible to get back. Besides, who's to say it wouldn't have happened a second time? I looked at her, intrigued. You're very pragmatic. She gave a small, sad smile. Let's just say I've seen it before. My dad cheated on my mom for years. She kept forgiving him, and it just wore her down until there was nothing left. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring up bad memories. It's okay, she said, looking up at me. It's why I respect your decision so much. You were brave. Not brave, just selfish enough to not want to live a miserable life. I changed the subject with a smile. Come on, my treat. I pointed to an ice cream cart up ahead. Okay. Walking back, the setting sun cast our shadows long on the pavement. Megan walked beside me, licking a half-melted ice cream cone, her smile bright and genuine. I realized, with a jolt, that this was the first time I had felt truly light and happy since the divorce. Thank you, Megan, I said out of the blue. For what? She asked, looking confused. For spending the day with me. I had a really good time. Her cheeks turned pink again. Me too. I had a great time. I walked her to her apartment building, and we said our goodbyes. Watching her disappear inside, I turned to leave, a sense of quiet anticipation settling over me. Maybe, just maybe, things were finally heading in the right direction. The next day, Sunday, I was lacing up my running shoes when my phone rang. An unknown number. Hello. Luke, it's me. It was Claire's voice. I stopped what I was doing. What is it? I'm leaving tomorrow. I was wondering if you'd meet me for a coffee? Just as a final goodbye. I hesitated. Where? The old spot. That cafe we used to go to. 3 o'clock. Fine. After hanging up, I headed out for my run, trying to clear my head. At 3, I was at the cafe. Claire was already there, wearing a simple dress. She looked healthier than the last time I'd seen her. Hey, she said with a small smile. Thanks for coming. No problem. I sat down. You look well. I feel better. I think I processed everything. She stirred her coffee. I'm really leaving this time. Got a job at a studio up north. A fresh start. That's good. Yeah. She looked up at me. How have you been? I'm okay. Work is good. Life is quiet. That's good to hear. She paused. I heard. Alex quit. He moved south. She gave a bitter laugh. Ironic, isn't it? The three of us, all scattered to the winds. Isn't that the outcome you wanted? I asked coolly. No. She shook her head. I never wanted any of this. Then what did you want? She fell silent, unable to answer. Look, let's not rehash the past, I said, taking a sip of coffee. I hope everything works out for you in your new city. Thanks. She suddenly asked, do you hate me? I shook my head. I don't hate you. I'm just disappointed. I get that, she said softly. You know, I wanted to tell you that I truly am sorry. If I could go back in time. But you can't, I cut her off. So just focus on the here and now. She nodded, her eyes glistening. I will. When we got up to leave, she offered her hand. Be happy, Luke. You deserve the best. I shook it briefly. You too. Safe travels. Watching her walk away, I felt nothing. The passionate, all-consuming love I once felt had faded into a distant memory. Back at my apartment, I had a text from Megan. How was your Sunday? I replied, it was good. Yours? Quiet. Just stayed in and read. By the way, I finished prepping the files for tomorrow's meeting. Thanks. You're a lifesaver. It's my job. Another text followed immediately. There's a concert in the park next weekend. I don't know if you're interested. I smiled and typed back, definitely. I'm looking forward to it. I put down my phone and stood by the window, watching the city settle into evening. This time, I had chosen the right path. I was sure of it. In the weeks that followed, my relationship with Megan grew closer. We saw exhibits, went to concerts, tried new restaurants, and even went hiking on the trails outside the city. Every moment spent with her was easy and natural, free of the drama and suspicion that had poisoned my marriage. One evening, after work, I was driving her home when she turned to me. Luke, there's something I need to tell you. What's up? I received a really great job offer. It's from a well-known design firm, but it's overseas. My stomach dropped. You're leaving? I haven't decided yet, she said, looking at me intently. But it's a huge opportunity. Yeah, it definitely is, I said, forcing a calm tone. If it were me, I'd take it in a heartbeat. She was quiet for a moment. Really? Of course. You can't pass up a chance like that. The words felt like ash in my mouth. A deep sense of loss was already settling in. We were both quiet for the rest of the drive. When I pulled up to her building, the silence was heavy. Well, I'll think about it, she said softly. Good night. Good night. On the drive home, I replayed the conversation in my head. Why was I so devastated? Megan and I were just friends, colleagues. I should be happy for her. So why did it feel like a punch to the gut? And then it hit me. I had feelings for her. Real feelings. The thought was jarring. It had only been a few months since my divorce. Was it too soon to be falling for someone else? Back in my apartment, I was staring into space when my phone buzzed with a text from her. I'm still thinking about the job. If I left, would it change things between us? Her question sent a jolt through me. She cared about what we had, too. I typed back, yes, it would. But I'd rather you pursue your dreams than give them up for anyone. Her reply was instant. I need to see you. Now. Yes. 20 minutes later, I was back at her building. She was waiting for me outside, dressed in sweats, her hair still damp from shower. I'm sorry for dragging you out here so late, she said, looking flustered. It's okay, I said gently. What's on your mind? I've made my decision. She took a deep breath. I'm not going. Why not? It's a great opportunity. Because... She found her courage and looked me straight in the eye. Because you're here. I was speechless. It was a clear, unambiguous confession. Megan, are you sure? I just got out of a marriage. I might not be. I know. She cut me off. I'm not asking you for anything right now. I'm not in a rush. I just wanted you to know that I care about you, and that's why I'm staying. Looking into her sincere eyes, I felt a warmth spread through my chest. Thank you for telling me that, I said softly. I care about you, too. You just need time. I get it, she said with a small smile. I can wait. I nodded, overcome with the urge to pull her into a hug. Instead, I reached out and gently took her hand in mine. Good night, Megan. Good night, Luke. After that night, things between us returned to normal, but with a subtle shift. The feelings were out in the open, but we gave each other the space to let things develop naturally. A month later was the company's annual holiday party. After a few drinks, someone suggested a game of truth or dare. When it was Megan's turn, one of our colleagues called out, Okay, Megan, truth. Are you in love with our boss, Luke Miller? Her face turned bright red, but after a moment's hesitation, she looked across the table and nodded firmly. Yes, I am. A collective gasp went through the room, and all eyes turned to me. I stood up, walked over to her, and in front of everyone I said, I'm in love with you too. Megan Davis, will you be my girlfriend? Her eyes widened in shock, then broke into the most beautiful smile I had ever seen. Yes. The room erupted in applause and cheers. And in that moment, I knew I had made the right choice. The shadows of the past had finally lifted, and a new life, a new happiness, was just beginning. 2 years later, Megan and I were married. We had a small wedding with just our closest friends and family. To my surprise, I received a text from Claire that day, wishing you both a lifetime of happiness. I mean it. I replied with a simple, thank you, then put my phone away to focus on my bride and our future. Some people are only meant to be chapters in your life, not the whole story. Some pain is a necessary part of growth. And the person worth cherishing is the one who offers you a hand when you've fallen, who helps you find your way when you're lost. I finally understood that while you only appreciate some things when they're gone, some losses are necessary to make room for something, and someone so much better. On our third wedding anniversary, I took the day off and brought Megan back to the little town on the lake. It was where we'd had our first real date and where I had asked her to marry me. Morning sunlight streamed through the curtains. I leaned over and gently kissed her awake. Morning, Mrs. Miller. Happy anniversary. She smiled, her eyes fluttering open. Happy anniversary, Mr. Miller. Today wasn't just our anniversary. It was also her birthday. 3 years ago, I had chosen this day to marry her, to make it a celebration of both our love and her life. Ready for a day of surprises? I asked. Let me guess, she said, stretching. A walk on the beach, followed by lunch at that seafood place we love. You know me too well. I grinned, tapping her nose. But there's one more surprise after that. Oh, what is it? It wouldn't be a surprise if I told you. We strolled along the beach, the cool breeze and warm sun, a perfect combination. Our 3 years of marriage hadn't always been perfect. We'd had arguments and misunderstandings, but we had never lost our fundamental respect and trust in each other. Luke, she said, stopping to look out at the water, do you ever wonder what would have happened if you'd forgiven Claire? I shook my head. No, because it was never an option. Why are you so sure? Because once trust is gone, a relationship is like a sandcastle. It might look fine from a distance, but the foundation is gone. It's just waiting for the next wave to wash it away. I'd rather start over on solid ground than live in constant fear of collapse. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I'm so lucky I found you. I'm the lucky one, I whispered back. You taught me that love isn't about sacrifice and endurance. It's about equality, partnership, and trust. At lunch, the owner of the seafood restaurant remembered us and brought over a complimentary bottle of champagne. As we were finishing our meal, I slid a small, elegant box across the table. For you. She opened it to find a necklace with a single sapphire that matched the deep blue of her eyes. It's beautiful, she gasped. Thank you. I fastened it around her neck. That's just surprise number one. Her eyes lit up. There's more. You'll see when we get back to the hotel. On the way, I got an urgent call from my office. When I hung up, my expression was grim. What's wrong? Megan asked, her voice filled with concern. Trouble at work. That big client account is hitting a snag. I sighed. I might need to handle this. It's okay. Work comes first, she said, always understanding. Back at our room, I opened my laptop and got to work. Megan sat nearby, reading a book, quietly refilling my coffee and bringing me snacks. An hour later, I closed the laptop. Okay, crisis averted for now. I knew you could handle it, she said with a smile. Now about that second surprise? Right this way. I led her down to the hotel's private beach, where a scene I'd arranged earlier was waiting. The sand was decorated with candles arranged in the shape of a large heart, and in the center stood a small table set for two, draped in a white linen cloth. Wow, she breathed. Look, this is so romantic. This isn't the surprise, I said, taking her hand. On the table was another small box, this one looking like it held a ring. She gave me a curious look and opened it. Inside, there was no jewelry, just a folded piece of paper and a single key. The note read, Welcome to our new home. She looked at me, confused. New home? Remember how we always talked about having a little cottage by the lake? I smiled. I bought that white one you love on the edge of town. As of today, it's our second home. She was speechless, tears welling in her eyes. You really did that? But that house was so expensive. What's the point of working so hard if we can't make our dreams come true? I said, gently wiping a tear from her cheek. Do you like it? I love it. I absolutely love it, she cried, throwing her arms around me. Thank you. This is the best gift ever. We had dinner by candlelight and walked back to the hotel, Megan excitedly chattering about how she wanted to decorate the new cottage. Back in our room, she grew quiet. What's wrong? I asked. I have a gift for you too, she said, suddenly nervous. She pulled a small box from her luggage. It's nothing compared to a house, but I think you'll like it. I took the box. Inside was a framed picture. It was a sonogram. I stared at it, the image not quite registering. Is this? Yes, she said, a blissful blush on her face. We're gonna have a baby. I'm 2 months along. I was gonna wait until the first trimester was over, but today felt too special not to tell you. I swept her up in my arms and spun her around. This is amazing. I'm gonna be a dad. Careful, she laughed. Don't jostle the baby. I immediately set her down, my hands moving gently to her stomach. Sorry, little one. Dad's just really excited. She leaned against my chest. You know, deciding to stay here with you was the best decision I ever made. And the best decision I ever made, I said, kissing the top of her head, was choosing to let go so that I could find you. Some pain is just a detour on the road to real happiness. We fell asleep in each other's arms, the gentle sound of the waves outside, a perfect soundtrack to our peaceful, happy life. A week later, we were back in the city. The new client project was a massive success, and the board promoted me to vice president. Just as we were celebrating all our good news, a headline broke the calm. Alex Chun had been sentenced to prison for embezzlement. The news spread through our old circles like wildfire. Did you see the news? Megan asked me. Yeah, I saw it, I replied calmly. What? What do you think about it? You reap what you sow, I said after a moment. People who do wrong eventually have to pay the price. She squeezed my hand. Do you think this will affect Claire? Since they were. I don't know, and we don't need to worry about it, I said gently. That's all in the past. Megan nodded. You're right. We should be focused on the now and the future. She rested a hand on her stomach, her face glowing. 2 months later, we received an unusual email. It was from Claire. Attached was a link to an article she had written for an online magazine, titled Regret and Appreciation. It was a raw, honest account of a woman who threw away true love for a cheap thrill and the painful lessons she learned in the aftermath. She ended the piece with a line. Some of us only learn to appreciate what we had after it's gone. Some mistakes can never be undone. All we can do is live with the consequences and hope that others will cherish what they have before it's too late. I read it in silence and closed my laptop. Are you okay? Megan asked. I'm great, I said, smiling at her. I was just thinking that everyone has their own journey. The important thing is I've found my destination. She leaned into me. Me too. Outside, the setting sun bathed the city in a golden light. Life, like the sun, has its bright moments and its dark in a golden light. Life, like the sun, has its bright moments and its dark ones, its endings and its new beginnings. But a new dawn is always on the horizon. 5 years flew by. Our son, Leo, was a boisterous 4.5-year-old. His name a nod to the sunshine he brought into our lives. We also had a daughter, Sky, just over a year old, whose name was our hope for her to always have a clear and bright path ahead. My career had flourished. I was now the CEO of the company. Megan had launched her own successful design studio, expertly balancing her passion with our family life. Most weekends were spent at our cottage by the lake. Leo loved chasing the waves, while Sky was content to sit on a blanket, studying seashells. One evening, after a long day at the beach, we were back in the city. Leo was proudly showing off his collection of shells, and Sky was sitting quietly on my lap with a picture book. Megan handed me a coffee. Mr. Henderson called earlier. He's inviting us to his daughter's wedding next week. Sure, why not, I said. It'll be nice to get the kids out. Okay, she said, then hesitated. I heard Claire will be there. I paused. Really? What's her connection to the Hendersons? Apparently, she's the bride's dance instructor. They become good friends. Megan watched my face carefully. Will that be awkward? I shook my head. No, it's been years. We're all adults. That's what I thought too, she said, relieved. The wedding was beautiful, held at an elegant country club. Our little family found our seats, Leo looking around with wide-eyed curiosity, while Sky sat contentedly in Megan's lap. During the ceremony, I noticed Claire sitting a few rows away. She wore a simple, pale blue dress, her hair pinned up. She looked graceful and serene. As if sensing my gaze, she turned her head. Our eyes met. She offered a small, calm smile and a slight nod. I nodded back, then turned my attention back to the bride and groom. At the reception, Megan took the kids to the dessert table, and I stood by myself, sipping champagne. It's been a long time, a quiet voice said beside me. It was Claire. It has, I said with a polite smile. You look well. I'm doing well. Her gaze drifted to where Megan was helping Leo pick out a cupcake. Your children are beautiful. Thanks. I followed her gaze. How about you? Seeing anyone? I have a wonderful boyfriend. He's a dancer too, she said softly. We're thinking about getting married next year. Congratulations. After a brief, comfortable silence, she said, I've spent years thinking, if I hadn't been so selfish, so greedy for something that wasn't real, maybe things would have been different. Maybe. I said. But there are no do-overs. All we can do is appreciate what we have now. She nodded. You're right. She glanced at her watch. I should go. I'm helping with the first dance. I wish you and your family all the best, Luke. Thanks. You too. After she left, Megan returned with the kids. Leo was babbling about a magic trick he'd seen, and Sky silently offered me a piece of her chocolate. Everything okay? Megan asked under her breath. Yeah, just catching up, I said, patting her hand. Don't worry. She smiled. I'm not worried. I trust you. Those 4 words were the foundation of our entire life together. On the drive home, with both kids asleep in the back, Megan leaned her head on my shoulder. You know, she said quietly, seeing Claire today, I almost felt grateful to her. Grateful? I asked, surprised. Yeah, if it weren't for her mistakes, we wouldn't be here today. There would be no Leo, no Sky. She smiled. Sometimes someone else's biggest mistake can turn into your greatest happiness. I squeezed her hand. You're right. The way life works out is a strange and wonderful thing. Back home, after tucking the kids into bed, we sat on the balcony, looking up at the stars. Luke, Megan asked suddenly, do you have any regrets? About what? About being so final with Claire back then. I looked in her eyes, my voice steady and sure. Never. Not for a second. That was the single best decision I've ever made. Because if I hadn't made it, I never would have found you. I never would have had any of this. She sighed contentedly and nestled closer. Good. I looked up at the vast, starry sky, a deep sense of peace filling me. The pain of the past was no longer a scar, but just a lesson learned on a long journey. What I had lost was never truly mine to begin with. What I had now was everything. I finally understood the old saying, you only appreciate some things when they're gone. But what's more important is that some losses are necessary. They clear a path for you to find a better version of yourself and a better life. Life gives us hardships not to break us, but to guide us toward the happiness we were always meant to find. We don't need to dwell on what was lost. We only need to cherish the present and look forward to the future. Because real appreciation isn't about holding on to what's gone. It's about knowing when to let go and when to hold on tight.